taxes are one of those crucial foundational pieces of our financial life that we've got to at least have an understanding around. Okay, we got to at least have an understanding around. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit on the higher level and kind of the conceptual level of taxes.
Welcome to the Good Life.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Good Life Visual Audio Podcast, where we talk all things health and wealth. I'm one of your hosts, C. Muzan. I got Coach Could Be in the building. Say what up, Coach.
What up, though? And that's all y'all get because Detroit let me down.
Oh, we gotta at least talk about it a little bit. They did.
No,
let
we
you
didn't.
down.
We didn't talk about your birds when they lost the wing.
Listen, I tried to bring it up, but you didn't want to. Now the shoe's on the other foot, right? So might have to touch on it, but it's okay. I know it's still early. I know, right? Heart's
Still
still
raw,
broken.
man. It's still fresh, man. It's my raw went to a meow. You know what I mean? Went to a meow. Listen, I stand with Dan Campbell, man, for not kicking those field goals. It's about identity. Okay. As a team, sometimes you gotta stand for something. And you got to create a culture. And what we're building here in Detroit is a culture of winning. And with that comes, some pains, right? It comes some growth. So, as much as it hurts me today, I'm still proud of the Lions, still proud of the city of Detroit for the resilience that we show. And, for those out here, look me in the eye. Look me in the eye.
Go ahead.
For the crazy people out there talking about we shall fire Dan Campbell, y'all need to stop it right now. I've had enough, okay? Yeah, you're just y'all trigger happy, okay? Dan Campbell is coming back. And next year, we're taking the NFC.
You putting on record right here?
I'm putting it on record, just like I did last year. Say it with my chest. You know what I mean? Detroit Lions, NFC champions. It's about strides over the years. The greatest of the great. Look, how long did it take Jordan to win a ring? He was like 28, maybe 29. How long did it take LeBron? He got to go team up with D Wade. He got to go to Pat Riley's house. Okay? It takes time. Y'all are so impatient these days. You got to give them time. Dan Campbell's coming back. Jared Montana's coming back. You know what I'm saying? That awesome, like Gibbs. Come on, man. Feel like dude should be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? We're coming back. NFC champions. That's what we do because the city of Detroit, America's city, is a city of champions. Resiliency. Y'all pay attention. You can learn something.
Listen, it only took 31 years to get to the playoffs, right? Only 30.
Oh, man, we ain't got to bring up old things. We ain't got to bring up old things like that.
I'm
You know
just
what I'm
saying.
saying? We ain't got to bring up old things.
Takes a lot of patience to sit around. You damn near weren't even born.
It was my birth year, actually. My birth year, you know what I'm saying?
Either way, I guess you get a chance to see it through 31 years later. Shout out to the good old city of Detroit and the Detroit Lions. Valiant effort this year, but you couldn't take it all the way home, right? So
that's right. Only one can. Only one can.
That's right.
And that's all right.
It's all right.
We'll touch on that later.
We'll touch on it later in the show. But how you been otherwise outside of your Detroit Lions? What's been up in your world? What's been up in the world of health? I know
Been fantastic.
Did you just get back? Did you just get back from a bike ride, bro? You got back from a bike ride?
I did. I like to take movement snacks throughout the day. So as you guys can see, I got the little big blue in the back. And I might pop out after a meeting or so, go grab me like 15 minutes on a bike. You know what I'm saying? Get some sunshine. You know what I'm saying? Ride down to the beach right quick, touch my feet to the sand, come back and then keep working, man. You got to take advantage of everything you got. And, blessed enough to be in a position where, the beach is just a quick little bike ride down, go walk, take a little bit longer, walk down there and back, take a bit, that's probably like a little mile and a half walk, stretch the legs a little bit, keep the heart moving, keep everything pumping. So, Yeah, man. I was riding a bike a little earlier. Everything else is good, man. Everything else is good. The devil trying to hit me with a cough, but I said no, no. So otherwise, we're doing good. How you doing, brother?
You rebuke that. You rebuke that cough.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, life is well. I just got back from a little quick business trip
Mm,
down to Texas, the good state of Texas,
that's right.
where and
Howdy.
howdy. Definitely had a good time. Had got a chance to see some of my good business partners, some of my teammates out there. It's always good to break bread with teammates, hang out, right? We do so much on Zoom, right? We do so much on in digital and from our homes that it's refreshing to get back around and in community with people where you can shake hands and get to see people and
Kiss
get
babies. Kiss babies.
yeah, there's some baby kissing happening, right? Some baby kissing happening, pause. But yeah, it's good to be around people like minds. And I just got back from Houston doing that for a couple days. So that was fun. It was good. It was refreshing. And just like you said, you just got back from something, right? From I think skiing or wherever you were at. But like sometimes you need a vacation from the vacation, right? Like that was more business, so it really wasn't vacation, but just traveling, right? It throws you a little bit off. Just switching time zones a little bit and eating a little bit differently and not having the same resources around. I ran into the same the same experience. I'll share this. Your last experience, or you talked about being in the airport and having nothing, so you had to like settle for Chick-fil-A. Same thing. I was flying in on Thursday, but I was just coming off of a fast, right? So I just fasted for 3 days, but I knew Thursday, like I was gonna go right. I'd be in Texas. I might eat something, but I'll the first thing I get to the airport, I had a layover somewhere. Where was I? Chicago, maybe. I forget. I had a layover somewhere. And I was like, okay, I'll get a chance to get off, maybe grab something quick to eat for the rest of the flight. Bojangles, Shake Shack, Pot Bellies. That was it. That was it. I was like, what do I do? Like, I know I'm gonna be hungry, right? Like, but what do I do? And I had to succumb to Shake Shack and got a burger. Felt like crap on the plane ride, but it is what it is. But just the same story. Airports, you got to get better. Airports. I know this is probably isn't every airport out there, but like the majority of them,
It's pretty close.
yeah,
It's
like
pretty much every airport I've been to.
yeah. I
Best
mean,
thing, best thing I've ever seen in an airport is maybe a hard boiled egg.
mm, I,
That's
I
about
saw
it.
Jamba Juice might get there, right? Like
Oh yeah,
maybe, yeah. I saw a Jamba Juice, and another airport I was flying
are they
through,
gonna
but
charge 25 an ounce?
exactly, exactly. Oh man, it's
Well,
bad.
we got to fly it here.
It's like, oh yeah, the funny the morning of, I was trying to find an orange. I was just trying to find an orange at the airport. Couldn't find an orange. There's a place that had a banana. Nobody had an orange. I was like, I can't get an orange. Like there's
Nope.
slim pickings out there, but either way,
Very much so. Very much
if
so. It's pretty much one of those things that you can't count on it, man. You got to pack your food. That's probably the best case scenario. You got to pack your food and hope for the best.
learning it.
Yeah.
So either way, y'all, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Good Life Visual Audio Podcast. If you want more, you can always catch us over on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and all your favorite streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also join our mailing list, which we got to get you a link for to stay up to date with all things related to the good life. It's where our community for self-improvement will get even more resources, tips, freebies on improving your health and wealth. So make sure you click the link in the description and sign up today. Quick word from our sponsors.
You ready to level up your style? The Good Life
Mhm.
Visual Audio Podcast just dropped its first piece of merch with our exclusive Follow the Money t-shirt. It's not just clothing, it's a statement of your commitment to mastering your health and wealth. So be part of the movement and get yours today. Just visit the Good Life Visual Audio Podcast store using the link in our description. And remember to always follow the money.
Follow the money, y'all. It's big. Into our segment we like to call Shop Talk.
Shop talk. Dun, 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 dun.
we already touched on this a little bit earlier that the Detroit Lions are out now of Super Bowl contention, but we got
Meow.
two teams in the Super Bowl that's, worth talking about. The good old San Francisco 49ers, go Bay Area. Yay area. And then we got the Kansas City Chiefs back again. Patty Mahomes, 4 out of the last 5. Yeah, is that right? 4 out of the last 5 went to the Super Bowl.
4 out of the last 5 Super Bowls and 6 straight AFC champions. That man is doing work.
What's your thoughts on this, man? What's your thoughts on this matchup? What's your thoughts on what we got up and coming here with this 49? Because this is the second time they met too in the past 3. They met 3 years
4
ago.
years. They met 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
4 years ago. Patty Mahomes brought them back in the fourth quarter to win it. And yeah, I'm calling for the Chiefs again, man. I'm calling for the Chiefs again. I don't know, I never really was a huge fan of the 49ers. I'm not quite sure why. Used to live not too far from the stadium. It's all right. You know what I'm saying? It's all right. No. I lied. Wow. I just made that up. That was I live near the Giants Stadium, not the 49ers. That's in Santa Clara or whatever. Hey man, all my Bay Area friends is gonna hate me for this one, man. But the truth of the matter is, I root for storylines, man. I like good stories. And Patrick Mahomes, what he's doing, to me, it's just good for sports. It's good for young people. It's good for Black people. It's good for America. And it's good for business, man. It's good for business. Nobody cares about, people care, I guess. But Brock Purdy, 49ers, y'all can have that. I'm good. What about you, bro?
Yeah, I think I said that to you off camera. Like, I don't know how Brock Purdy is gonna fare in the Super Bowl. I don't know. I don't know. I'm right there with you with the Chiefs, man. Storyline's great. Good old. What about the Swifties? We talked about it earlier this year. Swifties, Taylor Swift bringing a bunch of revenue and eyeballs to the Super Bowl.
330 million.
Yeah, tons of it. We talked about that again. Go back to, I don't know, what was it, episode? I don't know, 142-ish, 143-ish, maybe. Right. We talked about, what business impact this relationship between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift was going to have. And lo and behold, here we are. Biggest game of the year, end of the year, biggest TV viewership event. And you got the Swifties coming in, bringing a whole new set of eyeballs just because they're going to get a chance to show her on the screen another 20 times, right? And it's going to be a big deal. This might be I have a feeling this will be one of the record Super Bowl viewership numbers that we've seen in a very long time. Not to mention, the festivities, it being in Vegas, Usher headline the halftime show. So kind of like you, man, less about football and more about the storylines on this stuff. It's pretty cool to watch. Shout out to Andy Reid, right? Ex Eagles coach, obviously bringing it. And then Mr. Mahomes, you know about Patrick Mahomes' dad. Always got some great commentary after the game, before the game, right? Getting a chance to see him get another ring would be solid too. So I got the Chiefs in this one, man.
Yeah, I think all the stories are on that side, and if everything goes according to script, then we're certainly going to have another Chiefs victory. The story is all going to be about what is Taylor going to do, right? But the real story here is Patrick Mahomes Sr., who claims that he specifically, and this is reminiscent of LeVar Ball, specifically chose his wife to produce a super athlete.
You said that for real?
Yes, absolutely. Quoting them from The Odd Couple with Chris Broussard and Rob Parker. Yeah, he was on there, quoted. He said, saw her, said, "Hey, I want to have a baby with you," and he's going to be a superstar. So,
and here we are, and it was written. That's a big deal. So, yeah, shout out to the Chiefs. Don't put any money on the game, but I feel like the Chiefs got this one. It'll be interesting to watch though and see all the festivities. So next segment we got called 2x2.
2x2.
It's time for our 2x2 segment where we give tips and advice and to entrepreneurs and business owners. Today we're talking about this whole LLC conversation, and that an LLC is not always your first step to starting your business. But there's a myth out there and a little, confusion out there for some newer entrepreneurs, newer business owners that actually believe so. Give me your 2-minute take on this, man. What's going on with this LLC stuff?
I used to think this as well until I actually started an LLC, especially in the state of California. And I realized that if you're not generating any revenue, it is actually a liability and not an asset. So, in my opinion, man, until you're generating revenue, an LLC really is not necessary. I think, and by revenue, I mean a good amount of revenue because you can file a DBA, doing business as, for quite some time, right? And in the state of California, you're paying about $800 a month. I mean, $800 a year just to have an LLC. So if you're not generating profit, I don't know how much sense it really makes to go get an LLC. So, my thought process here is probably the first thing you want to focus on is really sales, like at least just see if the market exists, and not theoretically, but like real market exists for it. And even if the sales involves you selling the idea, right? Maybe some people be like, well, I need some money to go make this happen. Well, nobody's going to give you money just because you started an LLC.
Right. That's right. It takes time, man. You hit the nail on the head. This has been a gimmick slash one of those I don't even know what to call it. Just people not understanding this world of entrepreneurship and really kind of getting taken advantage of by internet salespeople. Whenever you hear people on the internet say, "You want to start a business? Great. First thing, set up your LLC. You already know.
Build business credit."
Exactly, right? You already know they're taking you down the wrong path, guys. Like I attribute a lot of this to because I get a chance to talk to a lot of people that want to start businesses or want to branch out of their job or whatever the case is, and they listen to people like this and they get their information from the internet and they really honestly believe that the first thing they have to do is go set up an LLC, some type of business entity in order to do business. And just like you said, coach, like that's not the first thing that is needed. The first thing that's needed is proof of concept. You watch a show like Shark Tank or any other, right? You go sit down with anybody that runs a business, like business ideas come and go, right? They often say it, right? Ideas are shit, right? Like, because everyone's got ideas. When you start executing on it and you can figure out, is there an actual market for this? Do I have a proof of concept? I have an idea. I think my food is the best food. I think this product will work well. I think my services, right, are needed by people. The question is, have you proven that? Have you gotten 5 people interested in what you did? Even if you didn't even sell it for a bunch, did you get 5 people to say, I want that? Can I have it? And that's where a lot of entrepreneurs, people that are just starting in entrepreneurship, they really get messed up. They think it's all this paperwork. I call this, right? It comes from part of the employee mindset. The employee mindset can be kind of go back to lots of different areas in our life and how we think about things, but very much so kind of how school works, right? You study all of the tests, you study all of the material, and then you take the test, right? You do all of the coursework to get the degree, and then you go get a job, right? You do all the legwork, the paperwork stuff, and then you get the result. Entrepreneurship is the opposite. You learn by doing. You think you have the idea, go set it up, go execute on it, go see if that is actually the thing that will sell, the thing that will turn into a business, and then you learn how to get it incorporated. Make sure that, right, you have the licenses or trademarks or whatever you need. Like, go down the process first before you start spending a bunch of money on stuff and not even knowing if your business is actually going to do anything or if there's a need for it. So I think it's just one of those major
Yeah.
fallacies out there.
Spot on. Spot on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So, into our next ad sponsor.
Yes. I want to show you how over 600 people have reclaimed their childlike energy, increased their lean functional muscle mass, and skyrocketed their mental and physical performance in just 10 days or less. And I want to show you how to achieve this without having to spend hours in the gym, tracking calories, or taking tons of supplements. With 10 years of experience as a coach, I've taken everything I've learned and created the Gut Right system, which will show you the simple process to reset your system for maximum health benefits across the board. And because it's still early in 2024, I'm giving this system away for free as a gift to you. So click the link somewhere around here or comment the word vacation in my Instagram and I'll get you your copy for free.
Solid. Make sure you go ahead and send that message. You got to get your gut right by getting the Gut Right system, y'all. Make it happen. What's up, Aaron? We see you over there on Facebook. What's up? Glad to have you. If you're
What
joining,
up, though?
you're joining us on TikTok, you're joining us over here on Instagram. What's up? We're here for you every single Wednesday night, going
right.
live for the podcast. Let's dive into the podcast, though. We've committed, Coach and I committed this year, right? As this is episode 150, by the way, right? So episode 150 right now. We've committed this year to not only bring you some more guests and obviously bring you young Dougal, who's going to be coming back with us later this month, but also just sticking to some of the basics and some of the fundamentals that we believe around the health and wealth side of things, right? What's up, Eli? Good to have you on. That's your brother.
Yeah,
I got you, man.
Family
Listen,
showing up, man.
family got to show up. That's what's up. But we've committed to making sure that you understand the basics, the thesis of the stuff that we talk about on the health and wealth side. Again, you get bombarded with a lot of different information out there to steal a tagline from my brother here. There's a lot of noise out there. And so a lot of times we just got to cut the noise. We got to just stop the chatter. We got to get all that stuff out of our head and get back to the basics, to the foundations, because those are the things that are going to give us the best results. Again, stealing this from my brother, doing right 20% of the things that give you 80% of the results. That's what we're about on the health and the wealth side of things. So you're going to hear us alternate. If we don't have a guest on, you're going to hear us alternating between some of the foundations and the fundamental things of health and some of the fundamental things in money and things that we should be focused on. Today, we're going to have a little bit of talk around the money side of things. Specifically today, not necessarily full foundational stuff like we talk about on cash flow or, saving, but we're going to talk about taxes, right? Because taxes are something that we have to understand to a degree. I know, right? Somebody just logged off right then. Right? They're like, taxes, I'm out. I'll catch you. I'll catch you in April when I get my tax return. That's what they're right. But taxes are one of those crucial foundational pieces of our financial life that we've got to at least have an understanding around. Okay, we got to at least have an understanding around. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit on the higher level and kind of the conceptual level of taxes. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty because we have resources for that. Right. We had one of our friend to the show, Corey Patterson. CP was on a previous episode. We're going to bring him back on in another time to dive deeper as he's a CPA, an accountant, and understands a little bit more of the tax side of things. But I want to talk to you guys from like a conceptual standpoint of understanding why taxes are so important in your financial life. Something to start with and just understand, ladies and gentlemen, taxes will be your largest lifetime expense. Okay. Taxes be your largest lifetime expense. Why? We get taxed when we make money. Okay. You get taxed when you spend money, and you're going to get taxed when you save and invest money. So everything that you do with the money, however it comes in, whatever you choose to spend it on, wherever you choose to invest it or put it, there's going to be tax liability that comes with that.
Or even gift it, right?
Even gifting it. Even passing it down and
You know,
gifting it.
crazy piece right here. We'll put this in for you guys. I think somebody was doing the math on Shohei Otani.
Mm.
We all know he got that $700 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Shout out to him and his family. And somebody was doing the math that he would be taxed at like 35 point something percent. And he would take, I forget the exact number, but he's the state of California basically just taking a giant bite, right? $700 million, 35+%. Oh man. Oh man.
Highway robbery.
So much so that my man said, you know what? Y'all hold the money for me right quick. We're gonna figure this out on the back end.
Man, I remember talk about sports start like, man, I don't know how long ago this was, 7, 8 years ago. Dwight Howard was deciding whether or not he was going to go to the Mavericks or the Lakers. I think it was one of those conversations, and people kept telling him go to Dallas because of taxes, right? Like even though he might make a little bit less, he's not going to pay as much as in taxes because Texas doesn't have state tax, right? And California is one of the highest states in taxes. He still wound up going to, I think he still wound up going to the Lakers or the Clippers, whichever that was. I can't remember. But either way, taxes play a
Lakers.
huge role. Yeah, it was Lakers. Play a huge role in the business and financial decisions that we make. So that's why this is a real foundational thing. And it's not often we get taught about this stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when's the first time you kind of dove into like the tax conversation in your business life, bro?
In my business life,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, when I actually had realized, I probably need to start filing taxes.
What about personal life? Like
Personal life, my first job when I got my check, and I was like, whoa, where's the rest of it? All right. So, what's so interesting is you have I think it's New York, definitely California, and I think it's the state of Illinois, right? Now I understand New York. And of course, Sunshine State. Somebody explain to me what Illinois is doing. No, what? Y'all just want to kill your state, huh? Give me a reason to leave ASAP besides your cold weather. Right? What is in Illinois that I'm paying such high state taxes for?
Wow.
That's insane. Yeah, I think it's Illinois, man. It was I was actually offended. And quite frankly, I've never been to Illinois. And you know what? No, all the disrespect. I ain't coming there.
Shout
That's
out to
ridiculous.
state of Illinois, right?
No shout out to them, man. That's insane. How you gonna be in the same conversation as New York and California? Even Florida.
Every
Texas.
state,
Come
every
on,
state
man.
needs money. Listen, so it's a give and take.
Figure out a different way.
Listen, I'm glad we're talking about it because I just came from Texas. I told you I just came from Texas. Well, what I heard one is Texas has really high property taxes because they have to offset because they don't have state tax. And then driving in the Houston area, there's tolls on every single highway. Like you can't go more than 2 miles without hitting a toll. $3 here, $5 here, $4 here. So think of the amount of traffic back and forth every single day that toll becomes a tax. So while a state might have no state taxes or very low state taxes, it all gets offset by something else in the state because this is the way states make money. This is the way our government makes money. There's only a couple ways that the federal government
This is the way our correction, sir. Correction. This is the way the government steals money. They don't make nothing.
Very, very true. This is the way the government siphons off money from its people.
That's right.
Right? It's going to come one way or the other. Right? I think of a state like New Jersey who has crazy property taxes. Like, why would you want to buy a house in Jersey and pay a bunch of state? Well, it's because people come from New York or people come from Philly or Pennsylvania and they're like, oh, it's better living over here. Like I can get away from the city. And then boom, you get smacked with a bunch of property tax, right? Housing prices might be lower. Property tax is one of the highest in the country. So just know, right? These are the mechanisms for how our government, state, local governments, right, as well as the federal government are able to siphon money off from its people. So we have to be aware of this if we have any hope to build wealth or get financially free, any of those types of things. So that's why we're having this conversation. Start at the top of this thing and really talk about how the money comes in. You said something key, like the first time you learned about your taxes when you get that first job, and you're like, I make $12 an hour. I don't know what you made back in the day, $7 an
Yeah, it wasn't
hour,
that long
right?
ago.
Right, $7 an hour, whatever it is, right? And you calculate it in your head. If no one ever teaches you about taxes, you calculate it. Okay, you know, easy number sake, I make $10 an hour. I work 40 hours in the week. Man, that should be what, $400 for me? A solid $400 every week. Cool. You get that paycheck and it says 400 gross pay. And then it takes out FICA, Social Security, state tax, disability, like all these
You ugly.
that ugly tax that you pay, all of those, and it leaves you with net pay. And you take a look at that stub and you're like, man, where did half my check go? Where did it all go? Right. And that's normally our first understanding of what taxes are, because typically our parents aren't telling us how taxes work because they don't really know how it works, in all honesty. Right. But that's kind of our first view of taxes. So let's talk about like how money comes in. Because again, if taxes are your largest lifetime expense and you get taxed when you make money, well, you got to know how that works. So I always break this down for people. And I got introduced to this when I stepped into the entrepreneur space of the difference between W-2 income and 1099 income. Income on a W-2 means you have a job. So you're an employee of that company. 1099 is more independent contractor, right? Self-employed, right? You don't have, contract work type of stuff. That is the 1099 side. But how it gets taxed is completely different. And this is something that, again, they didn't always teach us. They didn't always teach us because we were taught, go to school, get good grades, get some higher education, get a good job, work that job, climb up the proverbial corporate ladder. Your life should be set. But if they never taught us about taxes, then they never taught you that the more you make, the more they're going to take. Right? And there's no way to get away from it. When you have gross pay and then they take out all the taxes first before you get your money and then you get left with net pay, that right there is a cycle that a lot of people sit in. And I would always tell you, from a financial standpoint, if your strategy is that the government gets their money before you get your money, over the long haul, that's not going to be a winning strategy. If someone else gets to touch the money before you actually get your money, long term, that can't be a good strategy. But that's how it works on a W-2. That's the way it works. On a 1099, you're an independent contractor. You come to the other side. Guess what? You make money. All that money goes directly into your pocket, goes right into your bank account. Now, you have to have some financial disciplines, and you got to learn a little bit about this tax conversation because you will still owe taxes. It's just you get a little bit more of a break. Why? Because you have things called write-offs. You have business deductions, tax deductions, right? Things that the government says, if you're putting money into your business, this is an expense of your business, well, then you don't have to pay taxes on that money. The employee doesn't get that on the W-2. Someone that's self-employed, they get that benefit. So real basic numbers. You make $100,000 on a W-2, you're probably only taking home 70,000 of that, depending on the state you live in. Probably about the first 30% is going to go directly to the government. Then at the end of the year or the beginning of the year, which some of y'all might be going through right now, you get to file your taxes and they might give you a little kickback. Right? They give you a little tax refund. That's what happens. You get another $3,000, $4,000 back. Some of you lucky, you might get 7,000 because you got a bunch of kids or whatever the case is. And so that year, made 100,000 on paper, took home 70, gave you another $4,000 back. Family kept 74. On the other side, on the 1099 side, make that $100,000, all that goes into your bank account. All of that was revenues from your business. Whatever product you were selling or whatever service you were offering to people, that money hits your bank account directly. And then what happens is at the end of the year, when it's tax time, it's tax season, you say, well, I had to pay for staff. I had marketing, I had advertising, I had to buy equipment. I had things that I had to buy that were in my business. So it doesn't, that 100,000 didn't all go to me. A lot of it went right back into my business because they're costs to running the business. So all of that money, you're not paying taxes on. So it's going to lower what you actually owe in taxes. So at the end of that year or the beginning, right, whenever you choose to pay your taxes, you might maybe pay back, I don't know, 10%, 15%, right? Give that back to the IRS, give your $10,000 back to the IRS. That year, you kept $90,000. Now, most of it probably went back into the business, but at the end of the day, you kept 90,000. That person on a W-2 only kept 74,000. So just on how the money comes in, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to understand how taxes work, just on how it comes in. What's your thoughts on that? When did you learn it in that way before? Did anyone teach you that method of like how to think about 1099 versus W-2 income?
Not 1099 versus W-2 because I didn't really have 1099 early on. Well, actually, I did. I sold Cutco. But no, nobody explained it that way. I'll be honest, man. Most of the stuff, in terms of money, I learned through books.
Yeah.
I read about it, or I did some research on it. And you said there's nothing you could do. Kind of a point of clarification. We there are a few kind of pre-tax benefits depending on what your job is. So I really learned more about it when I went into a startup. More so, not that it's any different than a regular job, but that's when I really started to pay attention to some of these like pre-tax benefits, particularly on the health side with HSA,
HSAs,
FSA.
Mm-hmm.
I know we'll talk about this a little bit more, kind of using pre-tax dollars for, for example, transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we had like a program you could use pre-tax dollars for, taking the train to work or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
or even if you could purchase use some of the money to purchase like a bike or something like that. So there were some little things that we could do, and I'll be honest, I thought it was fascinating, so I dug deep. But most of my coworkers, quite honestly, came to me. They're like, "Oh, what are you doing, man?
What are you doing?
Right? What's going on, man?"
Yeah.
I got Invisalign off of that stuff, right? Which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that. And then on the 1099 sort of entrepreneur side, man, I'll say honestly, for me, it was getting a good CPA to kind of break that stuff down. So, because yeah, you can take these deductions, but say they have to make sense. You know what I mean? You can't just go buy this is what you see on social media, right? Buy a Lamborghini and then write it off, right? Okay, no, dog, you made $5,000 last year. Like, how can you buy a Lamborghini and write it off? That doesn't make any sense.
Talk about that, right? Like, because you see all this stuff on social, and again, it's not that this stuff is wrong, guys. Like, it's not that it's wrong. It's just it's not your level. You're not there yet, right? Your business has to make money. Here's something to always know if anyone's trying to get around the tax game as an entrepreneur, right? Like, the first step is to make money in your business. That's actually the first step. And the more of it that you make, then you have some different strategies that you could potentially use to offset some of the taxes that you owe.
Sí,
Right?
patrón.
That is the way that it works. Always understand, as you build business, you're either going to spend it in your business or you're going to pay it to the IRS. That's the way that it works. But the first step is you got to make money in your business. Your business made $20,000. You can't go buy a Lambo and write it off and not pay taxes on it. Your business brings in $17 million in revenue. Well, you might owe $5 million to the government. You just might. So then it might make sense to go get that Lambo and use it as marketing. And then you could write it off, right? But your business probably doesn't make 17 million. Those of you that are listening, it probably doesn't.
Whoa, don't sell the audience short.
I'm selling them short because there aren't that many businesses out there that are doing it consistently. But again, those are higher level strategies that can be used, but normally not where we're at, not where
Right.
most people are in business. But you mentioned something really key about like when you are on the employee side of things, like what are some of the ways to offset some of the taxes? You mentioned a couple things that I'll just clarify because this goes into now some of the investing side of how to look at your tax liability. So there's always going to be things that are tax now, right? That gets taxed every year. Things like CDs, things like savings accounts at banks, the interest that you make in your high yield savings account, you actually have to pay the taxes on the interest of that every single year, right? That's why the bank sends you that form that says, hey, you made, the problem is most people don't have a lot in their savings. So you get that form. It's like you made 17 cents this year, right? But now with people, because, the past year, high yield savings accounts have been great where, you're getting 4 or 5% inside of those. Well, some of you might get a form this year that says you made $138 in your right in your high yield savings account. You got to pay taxes on that this year, right? You got to pay taxes on it. So the 138 does not go unrecognized. You got to pay taxes on it. Those are tax now accounts. You know what else is a taxable account is people that trade stock. People
That's a big one.
yeah, people that trade stock. Every time you go in and out of a stock position, that is a taxable event, ladies and gentlemen. Just always remember that. Every
That's short
time,
term.
yep, short term, right? Trading stock in and out of positions. Every time you're in and out, that is a taxable event. And whomever
Another reason why I personally think most people that I know that play around in stocks makes no sense.
exactly. They don't understand the tax side. Wealthy people don't trade stock. There's a few people out there that happen to make a bunch of money by being traders, sure. But at large, most wealthy people are buying and holding,
Yes.
specifically for tax purposes too, right? Like
Sure. Yeah.
this doesn't make
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Because, right as we get, I don't know if you want to break this down or we get CP to break this down, whatever works. But, I used to work at a lending club, for example, right? And one of the things they would do, or, clients would do is use losses, whether it be stock, right? Losses with their lending club accounts. And kind of, you want to break that down or not?
I mean, we can briefly, but it's more for CP, right? But long
All right.
term, like
Yeah.
you're talking more long term. It's a way to offset
Losses.
yeah, taxes that you may owe down the line, right? Like if
Hmm.
you have a year that comes and you're, you know, gonna owe a bunch of taxes, like it might make sense to sell some of that stock portfolio at a loss to offset it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
like that's a real strategy. If you're gonna sell it at some point, might as well sell it so you can offset the other taxes that you might owe. Again, we're talking 303 level strategies here
Right.
for most people, you know.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but
And
it's just
most people, I was listening to some you know, for me, quite frankly, just because I don't feel like I have enough knowledge. Well, only place I would really play in stocks is, you know, mostly, honestly, mostly blue chip dividend paying stocks. That's the only really the only place I would feel comfortable,
sure,
based on my level of knowledge.
sure.
And I'm not holding to sell kind of the same thing as a house, right? I'm not holding for the equity. I'll be, I need you to pay me a little bit of something, even if you just gonna peel a little something off, right? Interesting piece here. I was Warren Buffett. I was looking at Warren Buffett's situation, and they talk
Mhm.
about how he always starts. Have you heard this story? How Warren Buffett's day goes.
Mhm.
He'll wake up, or he'll get out of the house or whatever at 6:45 sharp and grab a Coke, which he happens to own stocks in,
Right.
and McDonald's, which he happens to own stocks in, and he'll pair them up because that's what he likes to do every morning, right? Coincidentally. um, but I thought that was hilarious. And I know definitely Coke pays dividends
Mhm.
and has for a long time. but make dude is not out here buying very complicated positions.
Right.
He's buying a lot of a very simple position.
Yep.
He's like,
And just
in
buys
my
it
line
over
of
and
work.
over. Mhm.
In my line of work, let me tell you something right now. Coca-Cola ain't going nowhere.
Mhm.
Coca-Cola is staying right there. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's I started, and this is something I wish I kept doing, but I started doing that in I think like high school. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, well, I'm about to buy Coke. Okay. I just started buying Coca-Cola stocks, and then I got into some trouble and I needed to sell and buy some gas.
Oh man, that is again investing above our level, right? Like
That's
if
right.
we don't have an emergency fund, you're gonna sell that investment at some point
Yeah.
because you need to live. You need to live. That's so that, that's a little bit of the stock conversation. And as it relates to taxes, just know, right? The more you trade stock, the more you got to pay taxes on that. You're in and out of positions. You got to make sure that you're paying your taxes on that. That's why the ultimate strategy is buy and hold. Shout out to Warren Buffett. Maybe we spend another show talking specifically about stocks and how Warren Buffett looks at it or what's happening in the stock market. But man, Warren Buffett holds the same 7 to 12 positions his entire right career because his belief is that if you buy stock, you're buying a business and businesses are good. And if they continue to be good, then you keep buying that same stock. That's all that it means. And so he's stuck to that philosophy and is arguably one of the best investors of our time. So definitely some work there. Back to that conversation around taxes. Tax now are those things that are being taxed every single year on the interest on what's being made. But let's go to tax deferred, which is a lot of products that are out there. The traditional IRA. IRA just stands for individual retirement account for those of you that might not know, right? Traditional IRAs, everything that's offered at your job, a 401k, 403b, a 457 plan, a TSP, all of those things work as tax deferred, meaning you're not paying taxes on the money now. Down the line, when you pull the money out, you'll be liable for those taxes down the line. Could be you mentioned two other savings plans, an HSA, which is a health savings account, then an FSA, which is a flex spending account, right? So those are also two other vehicles that they'll allow you to put in pre-tax dollars into those accounts for other usages, right? So I got to look at the
So let's break that down just in like one simple sentence here.
our
Tax deferred accounts
are accounts that the money that goes inside of that account has not been taxed yet. So it comes from your gross pay. Money has not been taxed. Okay.
and the purpose of somebody doing that would be
To potentially lower their taxable income this year in their current year, right?
or
That would be the reason. For like a health savings account, man, I believe the max is 4,100 this year. Don't quote me on that, but it's something around that. It's like $4,100 you can put in. So imagine you make eighty thousand
as a
dollars
single, as a single,
as a single person, right?
it's
Uh,
about eight something.
yeah, as a married couple, right? So single, right? You make $80,000 a year gross, and then you can elect to put in that $4,100 into that health savings account this year. On your taxes, it's going to look like you only made 75 6, whatever that number is. I don't know,
Yeah.
75 9, right? It's 80,000 minus that 4,100 that you put in there. Money is not being taxed and it's not going to go towards your taxable income this year. And
Yeah.
the great thing about an HSA is if you use it for actual health things, there's no taxes on it when it comes out either, right? So that's the benefit of something like an HSA, but that's why they limit it to so little, is because it's so good, right? Like you got to think about it. As a single person, you're only able to put away $4,100 a year. Well, it might not help you a ton if you make 150,000 a year, right? It helps you a little bit, sure. You get a little bit off the top, but That's not like you putting $30,000, $40,000 away pre-tax, and then it can come out for your, your health needs. Flex spending accounts are similar. Again, jobs can set those, you can set those up through your job. I think that limits like $3,500 a year for that one as well. Same thing, lowers your taxable income this year. You spend it. I'm not sure the stipulations of how to spend a flex spending account. Haven't had a job that has had one ever. So, but either way, when it comes out, again, don't have to worry about the taxes on that
It's
side.
like FSA is more specific. Might be FSA for like let's say dental or something.
Sure.
Whereas HSA is more general.
Got it.
All right. At least based on the last time I dealt with that.
Sure. And again, a lot of employees don't take advantage of that stuff.
It don't. That's the
Right?
truth. And that's the one, on the health side of things, that's where I have conversations with folks and that, I believe the whole healthcare system is a little messed up, obviously, but I think one of the things that people can do to really take advantage of and kind of craft their own plan is through an HSA. But it's particularly for young folks, particularly for those that don't have dependents, particularly that those that, especially single folks, right? You can take that money and and spend it on medical things that you wouldn't want to pay for otherwise, like a medical massage or medical, let's say, you get an IV, right? You can pay for that, right? Or even a sauna place might accept it. Or, things that, or a chiropractor that you may not necessarily be covered, or an acupuncturist that may not necessarily be covered. Like if you do it correctly, you could really take advantage of that. And it could be very, very helpful. But if you set it up correctly, because most of the time people are picking plans that they're not even using. They're
Sure.
not even really using the plans, right? So,
Sure.
if you can go ahead and grab $4,000, like you can do a lot with $4,000 if you plan it out correctly. That's a number of visits to a specialist that can really be very helpful.
Very true. That's very true. And again, best benefit is it saves you on taxes. You're not paying as much in taxes that year on your money because you chose to put it into that
So,
account.
Victor.
So,
Yeah.
what up, Victor? Those are just some examples of some accounts that are what we call pre-tax that can be used for other spending, especially around the health side. Look at the retirement side of things also, guys. This is where most people know tax deferred as. Again, your traditional 401k or 403b, same premise. Lowers your taxable income, the money that goes in there. You're not paying taxes on this year, but down the line on these, when you are ready to pull it out for retirement, you will pay taxes at whatever the tax rate is when you're retiring. Now, what they've sold a lot of us on, and what could potentially happen, maybe not for us, is that you'll have less expensive, you'll make less income, you'll be at a lower tax bracket down the line when you are ready to pull that money out. That has happened in previous generations where they're making a ton of money and they're at a high tax bracket, and they put all this money into tax deferred products. Then when they go to retire, they significantly lower their income, significantly lower what their tax bracket would be. And so when they pull that money out, they're taxed at a lower rate on the money. And that would be ideally how to work 401k or IRA or 403b.
Traditional, yeah.
Yeah, traditional those, right?
Mhm.
However, right, the other side is, what if taxes are higher down the line? What if you're in a higher tax bracket? What if you don't make a bunch right now, but you plan on making more down the line? Then they may not be the best vehicle for you. Something that I'll share, and if you're watching this live, you won't see it, but on the post edit, you'll be able to see. We're gonna pop this up over here on the screen. The tax brackets for this year for 2024. One of the main reasons and one of the best reasons to have one of these tax deferred products, these traditional IRAs, traditional 401k products, is to lower your tax bracket, not just your taxable income, right? Because these are different. Not just your taxable income, but to lower your tax bracket over time, right? And if you lower your tax bracket, you can save yourself taxes across the board. So if you see this, this diagram that's up, I'm going to reference it on this side. But one of the main tax brackets that people fall into is the 22% tax bracket, which is between, if you make anywhere married, if you file your taxes married, and you make anywhere between 94,300 to $201,000 of household income, you fall under the 22% tax bracket. Okay. So all this means is any of the monies that you make in that range will be taxed at 22%. Well, the tax bracket right below that is the 12% tax bracket. This gets technical, but this is the proper way to really think about really maximizing some of these tax deferred retirement products. Let's say you want to get down to that 12% bracket where all of your money is being taxed at 12%. Let's say you make $110,000 a year household income. Well, if you're able to put $16,000 away in your traditional 401k or traditional IRA, it'll lower you down to a tax bracket of only 12%, where all of now your income is taxed at a much lower rate, meaning you'll save on taxes across the board. Now, most people don't structure it that way. Most people don't sit down with a financial professional or a CPA to actually kind of work those numbers out. But if there's a simple way to understand how to use your tax deferred retirement products, that's one of the best ways to think about it is, okay, I need to lower my tax bracket. I'm right on the cusp. So let me put as much as I can to get me to a lower tax bracket. I can save some money on taxes. And then down the line, right, I will have to go pay taxes on that money, but likely I'll have some savings that make sense this year. So, right, cross your fingers, hopefully. But just understand those are a couple ways, tax now, and then you got tax deferred. And then the other side, there's a couple products in there when you get to tax advantaged, or what people like to call tax-free accounts, where you have your Roth IRAs or a Roth 401k. These specifically were designed so that the money that goes in is no longer pre-tax, it's post-tax. So that means you've already paid taxes on that money. You went gross pay, take out FICA, Social Security, all the stuff, leaves you with net pay. From net pay, it goes into your Roth 401k or your Roth IRA. Then that money is allowed to grow, and down the line, when you pull that money out, there's no tax reporting on that money. You're not having to pay taxes on the gains on that. So that's a great place for a lot of people to be. But it really all depends. It's something we talk about a ton on the show. It really all depends your specific situation, your specific financial situation. Everyone's financial life is different. Everyone makes a different amount of income. Everyone has different goals. So for you to know how much you should be putting in a traditional 401k versus a Roth 401k, how much you should be putting traditional IRA, right, versus Roth IRA. If you use other vehicles, there's cash value life insurance that also plays a part in the tax advantage side of things. When you start hearing people talk about family banks, or right, like continuing to put money from in the insurance side instead of in Wall Street, that's also another example of tax advantaged. But it really all depends on your financial situation. The key is understanding how much taxes will play a role in your ability or inability to build wealth, right?
Yeah, man, that might be a whole nother episode to dive into that side of things.
Might be. It might be. So as we kind of get this one wrapped up today, just understand that taxes, largest lifetime expense. You got to make sure that you're watching out for some of these things on how your money is taxed that comes in, how it's taxed when it goes out, when you're saving and investing it. And if you're confused about any of this stuff, or you're like, Chris, this is a lot to dive into, get yourself a good CPA, get yourself a good accountant, get yourself a good financial professional that understands taxes, that will help you learn taxes a bit, and then also help you save money on them. We got this question before. As an entrepreneur, when is the right time to get a CPA, right? When's the right time to get a tax professional? I would just say as soon as taxes become something that is on your mind, and your business is making money, generating money. Typically, that threshold is right around, like, I think it's like $50,000. Like, if you make under $50,000 in your business or in your job, like, you can like free e-file and like, the IRS website will just do it for you because they're not really worried about you messing up on your taxes because there's so little income coming in. I think that threshold's right, like 40 or 50,000, something like that, right? I think it's like 40. But anything over that, it just makes it's a great investment in your business and in your financial life just to get someone competent and knowledgeable around the taxes, right? I'm not going to tell you I'm a big fan of like the big box ones, the H&R blocks and stuff, but like again, better than you
You
do.
are or not?
I am
Okay.
not a big fan of them. Just because
Why?
again, specifically because the people that they hire don't know taxes either, right? Like at the at the end of the day, like you're not really sitting in front of a knowledgeable person. You have a brand that you trust in and that you believe in. But most of the people that they hire are just glorified paper pushers. And shout out to everybody that works at H&R Block for tax season to make some extra money because I know a lot of y'all do that. But like at the end of the day, you don't have to be very well versed in taxes. You have to be very well versed in how to enter. I'm pretty sure I did tax. I'm pretty sure I worked for some company like that back when I was like 18, 17 or 18. I can't remember, but it was something where you just entered the numbers. You get someone's taxes, they literally show you step by step how to just enter it in and it spits out, right, the amount and that's it. Like you don't even know what's happening. And so that's what happens when you go to H&R Block and all the big box tax places. You want to find yourself an actual accountant, an actual tax preparer, an actual CPA that can educate you, that you talk to one-on-one, that knows your specific situation, that can then help you down that path. And having a great relationship with a CPA over time is key. If you want to
Gotta like.
build, right, you want to get to that next level, have build your relationship with a good CPA, have a 15, 20, 30-year relationship with them, let them do good things for you, let them make sure that you're headed in the right direction because the last thing you want to do is get upside down in your taxes, right? You don't want to owe the IRS. I heard this stat that said if you owe more than $50,000 to the IRS, they legally can take your passport. They are not the entity that you want to play around with. Now, most people don't get to owe in 50 grand, but if you do, it could get real serious for you. So invest in yourself, invest in your financial life, get yourself a solid CPA, accountant, work with a financial professional to help you with this tax side of things. And watch your financial life get better. That's how it works.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Taxes can be a real drag for a lot of people. Pretty boring. But like you said, largest lifetime expense is actually pretty important.
Definitely is. It definitely is. So that was my last take, guys. If you need any guidance on the tax side of things, feel free to reach out. I am not your expert, but we have the resources to get you to the right people. But it's just good to be aware of what your liability is and how you can make it better because again if you're in the process of building the good life and getting you to the place where your wealth is important to you then you got to have a tax strategy. The higher up you climb, the more money you make, the more diverse that strategy needs to be. But even at the level that you might be at right now, it's important to invest in somebody that knows it better than you. So that's my last take.
Love it, brother. Yo, thanks for, even though you're not the expert, you certainly know the more than most. So thanks for breaking it down. And guys, certainly we will bring on experts we have before and we will again to get deeper into this. But if you do need help, obviously reach out. We do have part of doing this is to cultivate and curate a list of trusted experts that can help you on some of these things. And taxes is certainly one of them. We don't want to play around. It's necessary part of the good life.
Right.
And that's where we want to get to, guys. Another good episode down. Thank you, brother. This was necessary. And listen, I got nothing to add to it because it's certainly not my forte either. So with that said, I'm gonna save my voice. Hopefully, it'll be better for you guys the next time. See you next Wednesday, same time, same place, live, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook.
Facebook. Facebook.
Facebook. Post it on YouTube a little bit later, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Until next time, peace. Later, y'all.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Good Life.
If you enjoy this episode, please take a moment to subscribe and like our channel.
If you have any feedback or suggestions for future episodes, please leave us a comment down below.
If you're listening to the podcast audio version, we appreciate you just as much. Thank you for tuning into the Good Life Show.
We believe that everyone has the potential to live their best life, and we hope our show helps you get that one step closer to achieving your goal.
If you know someone who would benefit from our show, please share it with them, and thank you for your continued support.
That's it for another week's episode here on The Good Life. We'll see you next week for another inspiring conversation.
Welcome to the good life.